Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to News Today. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kukumlimli, Accra. We are also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. My name is Emefa Akosia Adetin. Coming up this afternoon, as part of sweeping cost-cutting measures, the president has scrapped all fuel benefits for political appointees, signaling a firm move toward fiscal discipline and shared sacrifice. And also, National Peace Council moves to avert major political violence in Akwatia as it triggers engagement with the NDC and NPP ahead of the Akwatia by-election following violence and assaults on journalists and opposition members in Ablekuma.
We asked our Regional Peace Council to begin talking to the political parties, to begin brokering the necessary things that we have to do.
We'll bring you details as former secretary to the Emil Short Commission, Professor Kufi Abuchi, calls for an independent body to investigate police conduct and inactions during Ablekuma Rerun. And also in this bulletin, we'll tell you the story of a 15-year-old girl excelling academically despite having to be carried to classroom.
Mom drops me off and then my assistant takes me to the stairs. Then there's a teacher who carries me upstairs while my assistant carries the wheelchair upstairs.
And in this package, we'll also have business, sports and showbiz. Join us independent, fearless and credible. Do stay for details. Thank you for staying with us this afternoon. Let's start with the fuel scrapping, the allowance scrap. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has, with immediate effect, cancelled the payment and allocation of fuel allowances to all political appointees as part of his administration's ongoing efforts to reduce public expenditure. Now, the announcement was made on Tuesday, July 15, in an official statement from the presidency signed by the Minister for Government Communication, Felix Kwakye. According to the release, the directive is aimed at curbing government spending and redirecting funds into key priority sectors. And I'll be reading to you the statement shortly. On your screen, it says that President John Dramani Mahama has immediately directed the cancellation of payments of fuel allowances and allocation of fuel to all political appointees. Now, the directive forms part of a broader curb in government expenditure aimed at cutting costs and channeling public funds into priority areas. And that's why the president believes that leadership must also bear its part of the sacrifices it's calling on the people to make. The latest cost-cutting measure follows sweeping reductions in the size of government through the appointment of fewer ministers and presidential office staff. Other measures have included stopping satellite TV subscription for officers at the presidency and other government facilities. Now, that is the statement from the presidency, which you may have seen. But you're asking the questions, but is this actually new? And what's compelling the government to scrap expenditure on fuel allowances? Joy News Research has been digging deep into the matter, and joining me in studio with more insight is our lead data research analyst, Isaac Kufi. Kufi, first of all, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well,
welcome back.
Thank you. I know. So is this really new, or you've been finding something?
Well, in terms of the implementation and the details of this announcement or release we are getting from the presidency, there is some sort of, something new there. But in terms of cutting down or deciding not to give government, appointees fuel, it's not something new. In fact, we are learning from the 2023 budget that this was exactly a similar thing that the NPP administration did in 2023 when they found themselves in that tight fiscal corner. What did they do? The finance minister then, Kenneth Oforiatta, decided or announced that government was going to cut government expenditure on fuel to political appointees by 50%. And the only thing that makes what President Mahama has announced new And in fact, in terms of the magnitude, bigger than possibly what we saw in 2023, is that this is not just going to cut it by 50%, but it is an entire cancellation of that package. And so MMDAs and, other ministries, if you look at government, ministries, departments, agencies, metropolitan, municipal, and district assembly, all of these institutions, their political appointees are not going to get that package. We understand in 2023 when this was done, these were the areas that is affected, and we are anticipating that this could also affect these same areas. I mean, we are waiting for the finance minister to read the mid-year budget this month, and that will give us some form of clarity in terms of the direction how much government hopes to get from this scrapping. But away from that, there is a bigger problem that government is trying to solve, and we need to understand it this way. That in terms of valuation, when you look at how much government is hoping to spend this year, there is that big gap between what the IMF is projecting versus what government itself has put in its budget. So you see IMF projecting that, look, do not spend beyond 267 billion Ghana cedis.
Right.
But government has in its budget that, well, if I take away even arrears clearance and amortization and other things, I want to spend 271 billion Ghana cedis. So you see big difference between what government wants to spend and the cap that the IMF has placed on it. We also understand that already there are slippages in the IMF program. So government is already behind in terms of meeting some of the benchmarks, some of the revenue projections. We understand the scrapping of the e-levy and things have taken more than close to about 3 billion Ghana cedis from government kitties, and they need to find ways and means to actually close this gap. And so you see government faced with this big gap, and they actually want to close it. And in fact, cutting down or deciding to cancel in terms of the fuel coupons and all of that is one way that government is hoping to actually catch up with the IMF program and then also bring down its expenditure in 2025.
Okay, now quickly before I move on, is it that significant? And if they indeed cut down, will it be very significant?
I mean, that alone will not be able to close the gap. So it's one of the revenue or expenditure measures that government is hoping to use to close the gap that they have between what the IMF is projecting and what we have in the 2025 budget.
Thank you, Kufi. Thank you so much. Now, moving away from that, the National Peace Council has triggered full engagement with the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and the New Patriotic Party, NPP, ahead of the anticipated by-election in the Akwatia constituency. The move comes barely 4 days after the chaos that nearly marred the Ablekuma North parliamentary elections. The incident, which involved attacks on 3 journalists and a former fisheries minister, Howard Kumson, have raised serious concerns of a potential escalation of the situation in the next by-election. Executive Secretary to the National Peace Council, Dr. George Amos, says the council has activated its regional arm to begin engagement with the major 2 political parties ahead of the election.
We have the opportunity to change the narrative, and particularly, like you said, going to Akwatia. I have, by the instructions of the chairman of the Peace Council, we've asked our regional Peace Council to begin talking to the political parties, to begin brokering the necessary, things that we have to do to ensure that we go to Akwatia and get it right. You remember, ahead of the 2024 elections, the police did very well. Yeah. We had 3 very, tough elections, closely run elections, but they were able to hold on. Yes, so we've started our engagement processes. I think that is what we are mandated to do to prepare the minds and the hearts of our people, the electors, for a peaceful election. So I have spoken with my regional secretary in the Eastern region, and they are going to start that. We also want to know who are going to contest on a ticket of both the NDC NPP and any other party who will be involved, so that we can target them and try to prepare them for a peaceful election.
Meanwhile, there are raging calls from the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, for a full-scale investigation into the inability of the police to foil the attacks on Friday.
So, if there's some problem with the police being able to do its job, we should know. Is it interference? Are they saying they can't do their job and because somebody is ordering them not to? And that's why we asked the police council that has control and direction over the police to make an inquiry. We need to it's not just finding the perpetrators. I think that's a first step, a very first important step to changing this course. But we need to get to the bottom of this because I'm glad that you are focusing on Akwatia, but it's even beyond Akwatia.
Now, a former secretary to the Emil Short Commission, which investigated the 2019 Ayawaso West Wogan by-election violence, Professor Kufi Abuchi says an independent body must investigate the matter, as he expressed frustration over the government's inability to fully implement the commission's report.
When the police misbehave, quote unquote, the police will have to investigate the police. And it's counterintuitive to think about it this way. So in many jurisdictions, what they have is an independent body that oversees the police when there are complaints about the police. Because typically it doesn't make sense for an entity to investigate itself. The entity can, but given our history, we normally don't go far when an entity investigates itself. These recommendations can still be implemented. It is a matter of big regret for me, as I indicated earlier, why the government that spent money to set up the commission substantially rejected the recommendations of the commission, many of which are so difficult to reject, if you ask me, if you face the facts, because the hearings were actually public and everybody saw what happened. There are people who haven't recovered from that till today. There are people who have severed limbs. There are people who suffered greatly because of the Ayawaso Commission violence. And to think of the fact that we substantially rubbished the outcome of the commission's work, merely because, there were disagreements with the outcome, is one that I find quite troubling. And as I indicated, the report is still there and it can be implemented. And we still have a lot more elections ahead of us moving forward into the future.
Meanwhile, the NPP youth in Akwatia have last night organized a vigil in honor of late Akwatia MP, Ernest Kumi.
Na yebuye na ho brasie ene se no ni party ene se obi a sebe uni na fankura na so mpena semkura na okwan obefa so ne wakasa na wanya ho abuche na wadi leti no obeye sabe no na ye Onyankopon price Yakopon ni sabi maye yewa ene se akuni ayo bia na party no ene se obi a oba constituency ma titi coordinators police station executives constituency executives obi na obetimi anya na wasembone aka Enti emeni da wu ye na o tupepepe bibie na obetimi aye bia kaye ni na sase ni bia ni munam say ba organize fruit say like candidates night actually amanse nyina say yenes lawu na so wani na tie
Enim sana me free and chance see I say okay enim sana sa kokode kwade kodini ba kwari ye okay enim sana see ni papa ana se mpuni pa ana se doni pa ana se wo obi aseni osie bi aba na se nchaya ana se mpamom tanka bi ashem enim say wo kwade ankwati menyi so wo redie ati ensu any shaka any nana say I'm a secret. But a dog, you are
NS Yakumi Eka Ho, Sabe Most and for Crab, Bedi Ho, Adansi. Yayobia Bran Hoasi. Onipa bia na so won ho also sabe no ka sabe si na we sabe Ghana de enim so bi wu a ade ka de chance mpa na so de nya no bi David from wanchi ade ko si kubani okubani basi ko si bamase from Idrase ade basi ko si Akwatia we bia e basi ko number 4 minia obi biere ni obetimi anya Yakumi ho asem ba kokora aka.
You're watching Joy News today, and away from that, the Ministry of Defense has withdrawn military protection from all civilians who are not legally entitled to such services, including some public officials, former ministers and businessmen. The move forms part of government's effort to restore discipline and accountability within Ghana's security structure. Announcing the directive in a Facebook post, Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omane Boama described the decision as a key component of the government's broader reset agenda focused on promoting transparency and responsible governance. And moving on, the Encaria Forest District in the Ashanti region is once again under siege as illegal miners brazenly reclaim vast portions of protected forest land, few days after a major police swoop. A recent anti-galamsey operation uncovered fresh destruction in areas including Pachi, Nkrumah and part of the Jimra Forest Reserve. Abuchi reports.
Illegal miners have staged a bold return to the Encaria Forest District, leaving behind a trail of devastation in some of the country's most fragile green belts. A special police task force acting on intelligence embarked on a major operation deep inside the forest enclave, where they discovered extensive environmental destruction.
This is the Encaria Forest District, and the police just made its way into the forest. And fresh invasion has been made by illegal miners into this enclave. And you can see that while there is serious soup ongoing all over the country, the illegal miners continue to destroy our water bodies and our forest reserves. There are brand new three excavators in here that the police are expected to tow out of the place. And work was just ongoing few minutes before we made our entry into the forest.
The illegal miners had cleared swathes of forest cover, dug massive pits and polluted nearby water bodies, erasing years of conservation efforts and threatening livelihoods dependent on the forest ecosystem. During the raid, officers seized 4 heavy-duty excavators that were being used to rip through the protected land. Ernest Kufi is an illegal miner. He was accosted during the swoop.
I didn't know you galamsey.
But the Chinese say, "You know, I'm a Tommy Papa. If you so yet, and no one am a young Kaka, maybe moment machine in a metiso.
I must say, you soon in Shahana.
I dare we ask you, between and one corner that behind me say you.
Conphobia now, say an enemy first time.
I am into illegal mining because I didn't come to meet my father. This helps me a lot. I'm the operator of the machine. I was only employed yesterday. The owner of this concession is Akinyelehini. We are about 8 working here.
Yeah, of my man catch him say. What's that often see now? Yeah, as I first see now. Sasa kukusio. Tiano mde better say one family land. Some me so I.
It's the ben obi jagalamse.
Oh.
Say achu.
Achu ya we.
Wo ya we say achu.
I say police for jam see. Man kura go me tokra. Me kura nyam na me year 19, obi na year 19. Ti afi na me ma birthday.
Mo ye sen na mo ye adwuma o de wani hwema mo ye nipa be sen.
O be 8.
The community miners had made several attempts to stop the police from towing the seized excavators.
So this was a barrier that was laid down here, a very thick tree, a pole that was dropped down here by some suspected miners to prevent the police seized excavators from moving through the streets. But then police have swiftly taken off the pole, which served as a barrier, and now it is going to pave way for the excavators which have been seized to move through and then move all the way to the Patase police depot.
2 individuals were arrested at a compound known for harboring illegal mining activities. The 2, clad in army uniforms, admitted to be miners protecting their master, who is on the run.
I was a welder and I came into this job. My boss is an illegal miner.
Despite an earlier operation aimed at flushing them out, the miners have returned in droves. Some local residents applauded the efforts by the police.
We appreciate this operation. This will help save all our water bodies.
For Joe News, Nana Abuchi Dankwe Kumasi.
Now, we've just been telling you about President John Dramani Mahama with immediate effect cancelling the payment and allocation of fuel allowances to all political appointees as part of his administration's ongoing efforts to reduce public expenditure. Now, the announcement was made on Tuesday, July 15, in an official statement from the presidency signed by the Minister for Government Communications, Felix Kwachiofosu. And according to the release, the directive is aimed at curbing government spending and redirecting funds into key priority sectors. Now, joining me now is Deputy Presidential Spokesperson Shamima Muslim on Zoom. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and good afternoon. First of all, can you clarify what prompted this immediate directive to cancel fuel allowances? Was it driven by fiscal emergency or just part of the reset agenda? If you can hear me, kindly unmute. Can you hear me? We'll try and reconnect to Deputy Spokesperson for Government, at least to help us understand why this is with immediate effect, and especially because it's not the first. In 2023, you recall that the NPP did a 50% cut on this particular matter, but they are scrapping it entirely. So we'll get to understand why. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon. Let's start by why you're starting with immediate effect. Why is it driven by fiscal emergency or just part of the reset agenda?
It is part of the reset agenda. The various audits and reforms are going on right from the presidency to see what we can do as a government to, to use resources more prudently, what we can do also symbolically as a government to show commitment to the reset agenda, even as we ask Ghanaians to participate, to embrace policies and programs, to even embrace some levies, like the One Ghana Cedi, levy on petroleum products that would help us manage and deal with our debt and be able to buy some liquid fuels to power our power generation plants. We cannot ask, Ghanaians to do all of these things, whereas they feel that government appointees are fully taken care of, and that is one of the rationalizations behind it. And we are hoping that we would make some savings from this program to invest in critical sectors of education, of health, local government, and all the other social sectors that require a lot of resources. So it is we practicing what we are preaching, prudent use of resources.
Okay, so it's got nothing to do with fiscal emergency, looking at how much the IMF says you should spend and how much government has projected would be spending. It's got nothing to do with this. It's just a reset agenda.
It's a reset reform. There's no emergency. How much can we raise from fuel allocations to solve the 68 billion debt that sits on the ECG books? How much? But it is symbolic also to the extent that it brings everybody's attention to the fact that it is not business as usual. Look, my sister, right now we hold a lot of government events at the presidency. People will tell you when they come, we give them water. There's very few times, depending on the event, you would get snacks, and even that anytime your unit is organizing a program, when you send a budget, you should know that the budget you are sending, realistically, you might be getting a quarter of what you have asked for. What it means is it forces you to think through, only to put in just the important things that you can put in and still get the work done. This is the levels of efficiency that is happening at the presidency, which is expected to translate to all ministries, department, agencies, so that we'll plug the loopholes. There's too much wastage in the system.
You asked a good question, that how much can we save? But I have a question as well. How much have you projected to save annually through this cancellation?
So as we speak, the exact cost is being computed. Mind you, this was a directive that came just today. So obviously, there's got to be further direction to compute just how much we have spent as a government since January up to this point on fuel allocations, and how much we expect to save from the cancellation of those allocations. But also to say that it does not mean that we are disenabling government work to the extent that it becomes counterproductive. If you have a place to go, something to do, an official assignment, you say you will not be able to do it because you don't have fuel allocation. Because just like the code of conduct, there will be parameters that will spell out what we describe as official travel and important assignments. So that is the exception. Strictly regulated official travel and assignment will still be taken care of by the states. But as everyone does in your everyday commute to and fro work, you will no longer be benefiting from the excess allocation, even though the allocations that many appointees get was not full allocation for all your fuel needs, but of course it was significant in terms of helping you in your everyday movement to and from work, and also for your official assignments and engagement. For example, the Office of Government Communication, we do a lot of media rounds, we do a lot of interviews and all of that. So there's a way in which within the regulations and the framework that will be communicated to appointees, you would know what what kinds of assignment, would still attract some allocation or fuel allocation.
Finally, before I let you go, how have the appointees received this? I know that you may have prepped them even before you started appointing them and all of that, but this particular one, was it anticipated? How well are they receiving this?
No, a lot of these ones are not. So sometimes we also would hear them just like you would also hear them. But there are decisions that are taking our cabinet levels. There are decisions that are well thought through. There are decisions that have the best interests of the government at hand. And my sister, because of this prudent in the management of resources alone, from January up to this year, we're seeing the signs already. As we speak, 80% of allocation has actually gone to district assemblies. We've also seen the release of funds for school feeding, the school feeding program. 600 million has already gone to that project. We're talking about 300 million cedis released for the no-fee stress program, where a lot of our tertiary students will bear testimony that their accounts have been reimbursed. 290 million cedis has also been allocated and released for the free sanitary pad initiative. So already we are all beginning to see the signs and the effects of more prudence in the management of our collective resources. So when we come back to you and we say that, let's hold hands, I beg your pardon, let us hold hands and let's build together, you would know that His Excellency is committed at the highest level, and he's actually practicing exactly what he's preaching, even as he asks Ghanaians to bear with him as we take decisions, some popular, some not popular, some hard, some easy. But we need to take those decisions collectively if we are to pull Ghana away from where we found it just a couple of months ago.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shamima Muslim, Deputy Spokesperson for Government. And away from that, for many middle-class families, building a home is the only way out of the never-ending cycle of rent. But too often, that dream stalls, trapped between rising construction costs and runaway rent. In today's episode of our Habitat series, Colossus Colony visits Tema Community 25, where unfinished homes tell the story of dreams put on hold.
A 2023 household survey by the Ghana Statistical Service revealed that Ghanaians spend nearly 28% of their monthly income on rent. For many in the middle class, the solution seems clear: build a home and break free. But that dream often becomes a trap. They start big to escape rent, but rising costs of building materials, poor planning, and unstable finances force many to abandon their projects halfway, littering Ghana's skyline with unfinished concrete structures as a monument to frozen dreams. Meet Desire Badasu, a young father who tried to break free from the rent maze.
It's a 5-bedroom house actually, with a hall and an extended attachment of an extra space for a hall. We have a laundry, we have a kitchen, we have the dining, then we have a study. Both facilities are accommodated for both the down floor and then the top floor. So in general, we have a kitchen also upstairs. So if we couple it together, that will be 2 kitchens, 1 kitchen down, 1 kitchen up. We have 2 studies, 1 down, 1 up.
Desire began his dream home hoping to finish in 18 months, but unexpected spikes in building material costs have delayed the project for years.
The project was actually estimated to take barely 1.5 years maximum. Ideally, 1 year would have been better, but when we started, along the way, realized prices of things escalated. There was very little room to make adjustment in terms of finances. You just have to go along because you have a timeline you want to work with the limited finances you have. But after the first stage of the project, that's after finishing the ground floor, we realized we overshot our budget because as of the time we started, cement price was around 50 cedis per bag. And then within a period of 4 to 5 months, it jumped up to 60, 80. From there on is a different story. So per percentages, you could just calculate that the prices of things were moving at a rate of 20 to 30% per the amount you had estimated to use to complete the project. Because I had a fair idea of how much should be used to complete the project. But by the time we're halfway through, we had already consumed that amount we had already projected for the first floor. So that actually delayed the project a bit. Right now, we are into 3 years. We are in our 3rd year. The way things are going, we are still projecting that at least by the close of the year, we should be done with the roofing. And then, so I could say roughly an extra 1 year to finish up everything.
Desire Badasu is one of the lucky few. He's at least managed to move his family into the ground floor as he battles rising costs to complete his dream home. Others aren't as fortunate. Across the country, skeletal structures of stalled dreams dot the landscape, silent reminders of hopes deferred. Construction consultant Abraham Lincoln Kokubo says, the way out is simple. Dream within your means, set clear goals, and build with discipline from day one.
You need to identify the purpose for which you want to put up the building. Now, don't let that key purpose affect the start of your project. Now, if you have, let's say, a 40 by 80, which is like a half plot, or 40 by 70 or 50 by 50, square area of plot that you want to start your project, you need to seek an expert advice where that property land can be demarcated such that you get something that you go in there.
And now she's carried to class every day because the school building has no ramps and elevator. Yet 15-year-old Alison Asantewa Karantin, a student with a mobility challenge, continues to excel. Her academic brilliance is redefining what's possible. In our Disabled series, Irene Edubia Enin brings to you the story of a girl rising above a system that is failing to accommodate her needs.
On a day set aside to celebrate academic excellence, a young girl in a wheelchair draws the loudest applause.
Thank you very much.
Her name, Alison Asantewa Karantin, and today she's been honored as the best student in Year 9. Each day, Alison's journey to the classroom starts with a climb. Carried in the arms of her teacher, supported by her friends and assistant. Her classroom is upstairs and there's no lift to get there.
My assistant helps me up the stairs with a teacher. When I come from home, my mom drops me off and then my assistant takes me to the stairs. Then there's a teacher who carries me upstairs while my assistant carries the wheelchair upstairs.
Alison takes her academics very seriously. For as long as I've known her, she always comes top. She's always the best. She doesn't joke with her homework and her assignments, even research. She's the first to submit her assignments. So I'm not surprised of the grades she always comes up with, because she really puts in the work.
In a world that sometimes stares at differences, Alison has found comfort in the eyes of her classmates, especially her best friend, Princess.
Me being friends to Alison is really good. She has been such an amazing part of my life to me. Every single day we have been talking and calling and just talking about things in general. And it's really nice to be friends with her. Sometimes we talk about movies. She recommends me movies. I don't watch them. And I recommend her with movies and she doesn't watch them. And sometimes we talk about games like Roblox and we play together with her sister. Sometimes people talk about her condition, saying that they wish she was able to walk and stuff, and sometimes it just pains my heart.
I don't like the attention of a lot of people looking at me because of this.
The school knows it still has work to do in making the environment fully disability friendly. There are wheelchair ramps to improve access. But without a lift, classrooms upstairs remain a challenge. Still, what the school is building is just as important. Awareness, empathy, and inclusion.
Alison is a brilliant student. We have not finished with the building yet, so we can't have lifts. But once that is done, we would have lifts that will complete our inclusivity and or diversity, so to say. But even though her nanny comes with her, the nanny doesn't push her around. It is her friends in the class who do all of the pushing. So when they are going for library, when they are going anywhere, except they are coming down, her friends are the ones who help her move around. But when they are coming down, then a teacher who has been designated for her will bring her down, put her in the wheelchair, and then the friends continue to push or wheel her to wherever she wants to go. But she hardly moves around a lot.
As for Alison, she's very smart, intelligent. Even when she was small, she liked writing, reading books, and learning. And even at this age, when we get home after school, she will set her time for everything. The moment we get home, she will tell that, Auntie Cynthia, I want to bath. Maybe today I will start learning at this time, so please, can I eat around 5:30? Or maybe can I eat at 6? Well, she normally set her time for everything. So after bathing, it's ready for her to eat. After eating, she's learning. She can even learn from maybe 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. at times. Yes, because at times I will sleep and wake up and she will be still on her book. Yes, she likes learning a lot and research.
Her favorite subject is biology. She wants to become a doctor, not just because she's been to the hospital many times, but because she wants to help people, just like others have helped her.
So when I grow up, I want to do medicine, but I don't know what specifically. Usually, when I go to the hospital and then I see the doctors and the nurses working together to help people, I want to be like them.
Alison may not walk on her feet, but she rises on her will, her work, and the people who surround her with love. Alison Asantua's story is not about what she cannot do, but everything she already is.
You're watching News Today. Please stay with us for business, showbiz, and sports.
Welcome back to Business on Joy News Today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has appealed to the public to disregard projections and speculations bandied about by some black market forex traders. He warned that such speculative activities do not support the data published by the Bank of Ghana after its periodic Monetary Policy Committee meetings. Speaking at the Graphic Business Stanbic Breakfast meeting, Dr. Isiama expressed surprise that some Ghanaians form their expectations of the cedi from uninformed sources and begin to liquidate their funds out of panic.
Ghana must therefore walk a delicate line like we do, managing forex strength without over-tightening liquidity, which could suppress private sector credit and stifle the very growth we seek to encourage. This balance is not static. It requires constant recalibration based on evolving data and market behavior. And for us, we monitor these on a weekly basis. Monday afternoons, we have an economic policy coordination meeting where we assemble all the data. So yesterday in the afternoon, we had that. And that's how come on a weekly basis, we can tell you what is happening in the economy. So it's all about the data. It's evidence-based. So let's all base our projections, our perceptions, whatever it is, our doubts and our fears, let it be based on the data. What does the data say? Not what the Alaji says, not what the Zamanama man says, please.
Dr. Isiama explained that the city's gains are being supported by robust external buffers, prudent monetary policy, coordinated fiscal consolidation, and growing investor optimism.
By outlining the facts. And as I mentioned, this type of conversations should be based on the facts. The local currency has appreciated by over 42% year to date. That is as at end of June 2025, and has reversed nearly all the losses that were incurred in 2022 and 2023. Our gross international reserves now stands at $11.1 billion. And as I said, accounting for about 4.8 months of imports cover, which is up from 8.98 billion at the end of last year. We recorded a trade surplus of 4.14 billion in the first 4 months of 2025, with exports growing by over 60%, mainly from gold, cocoa, and oil. And I must admit, given the vulnerabilities that arise when your economy is virtually based on the exports of raw commodities, then you have to take measures to protect against the shocks that could arise. And let me say that we are currently working on a price hedging program, such that even if gold prices ultimately suddenly fall, we are able to limit the consequences therefore. Now, the current account surplus improved significantly to 2.12 billion as at the end of the first quarter of this year. And you can compare that to a mere 66 million during the same period last year. On remittances, inflows remain resilient, even though we have noticed some decline from April. And the Ghana's IMF-supported program has passed successive reviews. As you are aware, the fourth review was just concluded. We have had our sovereign credit rating upgraded, which was very welcome news. We are sure that before the end of the year, there will be further upgrades, and ultimately we should be ready to reopen to the international capital markets.
We have more insight from the central bank at 1 p.m. on the marketplace. My name is Winston Taki. Up next is sports.
We bring you sports now on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Ghana's Black Queens, we are in the quarter-final of the African Women's Cup of Nations. It's the first time the senior female national team secured qualification to the last 8 of the competition since 2016. And striker Evelyn Bedu believes that quarter-final tie against Algeria on the 19th of July is going to be a very difficult one.
We were disappointed about our first 2 games, and I think we spoke to ourselves that we need this win more than everyone. Even Ghanaians back home, we need this win more than them, and everyone can see we really show up today. Yeah.
Were you disappointed when you didn't start the game? And when you went in the second half, what did you tell yourself?
Honestly, I'm a player, so probably I'll be really a little bit disappointed though, but I think it's all about team. It's not about individual, and I feel like the coach also made a good decision, try some other players, and everyone really showed up. And I came in and also did my best, be on the score sheet, and help the team to get the maximum 3 points that we needed.
I mean, from here you take on Algeria in the quarterfinals. Ahead of that game, what will be preparation like? What will be running through your heads at this point?
I feel like it's gonna be the energy will be more than this one, because now we're in the top 8 and we know that a win will take us to the top 4. So the energy level, everything will be higher than this game.
That is your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. And when you go on that website, please download the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament form, sign up and participate in this year's event, which is going to be happening in the University of Ghana Stadium. We appreciate your time. The news continues right after this.
Time now for World Today. An investigation by a medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières (MSF) into the execution of 3 of its workers during a humanitarian mission in Ethiopia's war-hit northern Tigray region has found evidence that the country's army was responsible for the killings 4 years ago. MSF report includes claims that Ethiopian troops were present at the scene of the killing of the 3. A Spanish national and 2 Ethiopians. Time now for showbiz. Shola comes up shortly.
And it is time for showbiz. My name is Lois Shalade. Let's get into our stories. Now, popular Ghanaian music duo Keche, known for their energetic performances and hit song, have opened up about the challenges limiting their international appearances. In an interview with Isiedwa Komia on Prime Morning, they revealed that repeated visa denials by Ghanaian visa officials have blocked their efforts to perform abroad. The duo stressed that performing internationally is key to promoting Ghana globally and called on authorities to support hard-working artists facing such obstacles.
Going to Europe, you need to suffer. Sometimes they are bouncing us. Yeah. Bouncing artists. Yeah. It doesn't happen in Nigeria. It doesn't happen in South Africa. We've done our search. You know, so the artists, a renowned artist shouldn't go be. What joining queues? How can I say, please? I don't believe you. Come back, na basa. Yeah, they are bouncing, and you know they make sense. Crazy. And so when they bounce you to the visa fee and some farm I paid 2 visa fees in American embassy. I have some visa. And see, Pocho, Abana Wabadono, when you are me, when you be found, they keep bouncing artists. Sometimes we talk to the artists, they are bouncing them, and sometimes it's frustrating. I don't know what's happening. Every now artists like Keche, yeah, got some movement to
make your whole Keche.
Me, I bounce Guru, I bounce in bed 10. What bounce on Kofu, one Kentia. I'm a Keche, I say, actors, they are bouncing them. I know they are bouncing them.
Well, actor and theatre director Andrew Tando Adote has been hailed as one of Ghana's most outstanding acting talents by industry experts George Quay. Known for his commanding presence on Ghanaian theatre scene, Andrew received glowing praise from the Image Bureau team lead during an interview on Daybreak Hits with Kwame Dadzi. George Quay lauded Andrew's dedication and artistry, stating that he deserves recognition on a far larger platform.
My name is Kwame Dazi. What's your name, please?
Andrew. My name is George Quay.
George, your man is here.
Yes. He is the man. I mean, saying is beyond the national assets. And this gentleman ought to really be celebrated in a grand style. Worked with a lot of talent. But I can confidently tell you that working with Andrew gives you a beautiful night's sleep, because you know he will take it seriously, you know he will push hard, you know he will deliver. I mean, in my acting business in all of Ghana, the only other actor I know comes on stage with so much discipline in the male category is the man they call George Ajetiadan. And Andrew has really taken it up notches higher. I mean, when you are working with Andrew, there's nothing to worry about. Look, even yesterday, we were working on the promo for our upcoming play. On a Sunday, I called Andrew and he showed up.
Wow.
He's not one of those who would say, oh, today is Sunday, you go give me TNT. When you come, you have to give me lunch. You have to... No. He doesn't bicker, he doesn't whine, he doesn't complain. He just needs the job done, and he takes it personal. So anytime I have a big role, a big role for a male performer that I know would not let me down, unless, of course, it's an act of nature, it's always got to be Andrew.
This is Hits. Well, that will be all for Showbiz. Log on to My Joy Online for more Showbiz stories. My name is Lois Shalade. MFA, when was the last time you went to the theatre?
Oh my goodness, now she got me. No, I don't. I'm not sure I've done that.
Let's go this weekend, okay?
Okay, well, thank you for that date. We'll talk about the visa bouncing a bit later. But thank you as well for joining us today on News Today. I'm MFA Kosiadeti. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you for watching.